Hello, happy Saturday. Good to see everyone. We have another Saturday food support group. And what we do is we get together every Saturday at the same time. And we've been doing this, y'all, since December 25th of 2001. And we have not missed one Saturday. That is a miracle all in itself. And 2021. Yeah. So I just want to thank you guys for the commitment because I haven't shown up one Saturday here by myself. I have always had one of you guys here by my side to have this conversation for ourselves and for the world. Because, you can look on my YouTube whenever we post these recordings. There's people that are watching this. There's other people. There's only, a handful of us, but there's hundreds of people that are watching these recordings. And then they email me and they say, this story changed my life, or, Betsy's story changed my life, or Tom's stories changed my life. Like they tell me about their experience with our conversation. So just wanted to thank you guys for being here with me. It's a blessing every week. It's so fun to be together, to just have that community and to offer that community, to offer a safe place for people to pop in and be a fly on the wall. And they don't have to do anything. They can just exist with us and be with us. I did want to share something from Inner Clarity System that I wrote, and I was inspired by actually a client that gave me this idea. But I feel like it's really important it's a really important reminder. The example is of a gardener. A gardener plants a seed, and then they allow that seed to grow. But they don't do nothing. They give the proper environment for that seed to grow. They protect it from bugs. They protect it from other animals. They protect it from like flooding. Like they make sure that it's properly irrigated. They make sure it's properly watered. And so they do things for it. But what they don't do is they don't yell at that plant or that seed to grow. They don't say, come on, it's time to go. It's time to go. It's been a week. You need to come out of that soil. It's been a week. You need to grow. You've only grown an inch. You need to grow 2 inches. You've only grown 3 inches and it's been a month. I need you to grow 4 inches. Come on, let's go. That gardener doesn't do that. What they do is they allow that seed to grow at their pace, but their job is to provide the proper environment. And when it comes to our health and healing and our weight loss, but mainly health and healing, because, I don't care about weight loss, but health and healing, it is important that we are not yelling at that seed inside of us, because that seed hears us. There's no hiding our thoughts from our inner clarity, our inner knowing. So it's very important to plant that seed and then to give it the proper environment and not yell at the seed to hurry up. I need you to lose 5 pounds this week. I need you to lose 10 pounds this month. I need you to do this. No, you have no idea. And if you're a beginning gardener, you have no idea what that seed is capable of and what time that seed needs to allow to grow, to produce. And so all I'm asking you is to nurture and I like that. True nurturing is to give the support and help. Thank you, Cassie. That's beautiful. But to give that seed the nurturing and the support that it needs. And what I have found is that some of the key things that your body needs to heal is to have community, to have space to heal, and to have rest. And that is so hard for us because we want to be doing. We don't feel like having community, showing up to a Zoom meeting is doing. We want to do. We want to measure our macros and restrict our eating window and restrict our calories and do and work out and do this and do that. How about you just allow that seed to grow? And then as you have that inspiration, do those actions to create the support, to create the nurturing that is around that seed of your health. So that was just something that is in Inner Clarity System that I share with my clients. And I wanted to share that with you guys this morning to let you know that you are doing something by allowing your health to produce and to grow. So I love this analogy. Andia writes, I am concentrating on speaking to myself more kindly. I tend to be hard on myself. Yeah. Did you want to share any more about that, Andia?
I mean, I have a itty bitty shitty committee in my head and, and it loves to, talk. And I always think of the water research and, our bodies are made of 70% water. So it really does matter what I'm saying. And I do create my own reality. So if I'm saying, to speak to the analogy you just shared, like, okay, you only did this week, or you only lost that much weight, or you only whatever, that really is, for me, one of my character defects is control. So that is a form of me trying to control. And, I have to trust, and I have to let go, and I have to trust the process. But it is something that I'm always working on, is being mindful of what I'm saying to myself. Because I definitely, the negative self-talk is there. And even when I think I'm doing well, I literally was talking to my sponsor actually last week, and I said something just wonderful about myself. And in the same freaking sentence, I was hard on myself. And she pointed that out. That is a blessing. That is a blessing, because I wouldn't have seen that myself. So also community is very important for us to be talking about this stuff, because it allows other people to shed light on things we don't see. So just beautiful. Love that analogy.
It's so funny. I'm in this mastermind right now, and it is like, to be honest with y'all, I don't feel like I belong there. Like I do feel like I belong there. I do feel like God put me there for a reason, and I'm grateful. And I'm the fly on the wall in that meeting, because there are some great minds, but there is a fee of $10 every time you speak negatively about yourself. And it is enforced. And if you even like hint at like if you even like grunt about yourself or sigh about yourself negatively, they're like, And what I love about that is that, yes, it's in this mastermind group on Zoom, but I can incorporate that at home. I can incorporate that in my daily self-talk, and I can start my own ledger of IOUs, like, oh, I owe you $10, and just see how much I rack up at the end of the week, So I think it's really, yeah. Tom says that can get expensive fast. Yeah, absolutely. And so I would encourage you guys to just try it, to go ahead and just make your own little ledger and say, oh, $10 for Andia. Oh, $10 for Tom. and see how much you rack up in a week. And what I have found is just being aware of that. So now whenever I go into that mastermind group, I am like on guard. Like I am protecting myself because I don't have $10 to just like, throw away. And I recognize how powerful that is, not only for me to speak only positively about myself, but for me to witness these masterminds. These people are like, they have like millions of followers and stuff. Like they're phenomenal, highly productive people. And they recognize how toxic negative self-talk is. And so I just want to be on their coattails. I just want to hear what they're saying. And so I just encourage that for you guys to recognize how crippling and disabling negative self-talk is. So thanks for bringing that up, Andia. Next, I would love for Monica to let us know a little bit about what happened with you yesterday and your experience with food. Go ahead.
Good morning. Yesterday I had an asthma attack and I ended up in the ER. And after being there a few hours, I got a little bit hungry and I asked the nurse if I was allowed to eat. And the nurse went to check. And when he came back, he brought me what they called a sandwich and a container of apple juice. And it consisted of 2 slices of bread that barely were colored, that they referred to as whole wheat, and 2 slices of deli turkey. And then he brought me a packet of light mayo and this apple juice. And eating this way, I was not going to compound how bad I was already feeling with putting that food in my body. And I just decided it's okay if I don't eat right now. I have such a different mindset eating this way that if I could not put in my body something that was going to be nutritious and support it at a time when it was already having an issue, I wasn't going to eat. And I didn't until I got home and got settled. And so I didn't eat all day. I didn't eat till about 5 o'clock and everything was fine. I didn't get a headache. I didn't stress out. I didn't turn to food that would not have served me well. And I was just grateful that that was something that I was able to focus on as a positive situation that came out of a negative, that I am now in a place where I really understand the importance that food is in terms of appropriately fueling my body. And if I cannot have that, then it's okay. And I can wait, and I'm strong enough to do that until such time that I can put appropriate fuel in my body and not take a bad situation and make it worse.
Man, how amazing. Would you have ever thought that that would be your experience
Never.
a year ago?
Never. I mean, I was that person that carried junk, crap, whatever, something around me because I had a scarcity mindset. What if I was somewhere and I got hungry? What if I didn't bring enough food in my lunch? So my lunch bag got bigger and bigger and bigger. And, and now it's like, I might have something in the car in case my child gets hungry. And occasionally for me, I'm not saying I'm above the purse bacon by any means, but it's just not what I think of first and foremost when I get ready to leave the house. It used to be all consuming. Do I have food with me? What if I get hungry? Do I have enough? How long am I going to be out? Am I going to get home in time to have that next meal? What is the next meal going to be? And it wasn't until they kind of had me settled, ran the test, and I was in that, we're waiting for test results, that it even occurred to me, hey, I feel a little hungry. And I looked at the clock and I'm like, yeah, because it's 1 o'clock and you haven't eaten anything today. It just wasn't even first and foremost in my mind. And I was never, I never understood when somebody said, I forgot to eat. Like that phrase never made sense to me. How do you forget? Because I never stopped thinking about food. And now I'm not that person. And I have
Wow.
been able to say, oh, I forgot. Like when I went back to write down food, what did I have for? And I kept thinking, and I'm going, because you didn't eat. You forgot to eat. You said you were hungry, but you did something else and you forgot to eat. And I am now that person.
Wow. And I don't want to air any of your dirty laundry at all. But I do want to say you are a different person than when you started Inner Clarity System. I remember just watching the transformation and then you just saying, I feel different about food. Like I have a different, feeling. So thank you so much. It's been so fun just being like, I feel so lucky that I get a front row seat to like your life. Like that is just so fun to me.
Well, thank you for letting me share.
Yes, absolutely. And also, I send my prayers and my love, and I'm so sorry that you had to go to the hospital yesterday. And I pray and send healing, happy thoughts and prayers for you to continue to heal and recover. But I am so grateful that you are fueling your body with what it needs to recover, not apple juice. Oh my goodness. And Andia said a sugar sandwich with sugar to wash it down. Awful that it's coming from the hospital. It's absolutely mind-blowing. It really is. And and then the light mayo, like I can't even get real fat. Like I would at least like chug the mayo packet if it was real, but it was probably low fat mayo, chock full of seed oils and chemicals. So anyway, thanks for sharing, Monica. I appreciate it. Next, I would like to introduce to you guys, if you haven't met, one of my dear longtime friends. Cassie and I started meetings just like this in 2019. And they were on a platform called MeetRx, which is now Rivero Health. And I actually led the meetings as a coach for MeetRx. And Cassie came in, and I learned just as much from Cassie as I think she learned from me. It was absolutely an amazing experience. And it was the seed that was planted in me that made me know that this is my purpose. This is my purpose, to have meetings like this, to continue to create community where people could be safe to speak or to come and just be a fly on the wall. And talk about transformation. I watched Cassie transform before my very eyes. So Cassie, I would love for you to share with people your experience.
Okay. And I'm on a hotel Wi-Fi, so if I drop out or freeze or anything, just put something in the chat.
Okay.
So we all see that. So I think, and this is extra special that I get to talk about this because my daughter Ren saw it, this transformation too, is many years ago, almost 7 years ago, I think 6 or 7, I started on a paleo journey first. And what that means is that I was getting rid of all the toxins. I wasn't eating food with toxins and stuff. And the reason I did that is because I had reached 376 pounds. I was walking with a cane. I was having to take 2 to 3 hour naps every day.
At what age?
I was 45, and I had started to see a functional medicine doctor because I had blood in my stool. My intestines, I had such leaky gut, and I had destroyed my internal systems. I mean, colon, everything. So I was breaking down, and I literally couldn't do anything. And that was that year. It turned out that I ended up staying in Atlanta for my daughter's senior year of high school. So we were in an apartment, and I was taking tons of allergy medicine every day. Everything I was taking was toxic, and my body was just, I just couldn't get through the days. So I did go, I had found paleo because I had a candida infection. And so it was very effective for me because I got rid of seed oils. I got rid of all of that and really went to a natural food. And I did that for almost 2 years, and I had lost a lot of weight, 170 pounds. So my body just was so happy not to have any processed foods of any kind. However, it didn't fix my carb addiction. So I started adding back, non-paleo kind of things like, corn. I stayed gluten-free, but corn and sugar, well, they're processed, but not that much. And before you knew it, I gained back 100 pounds. And a lot of my problems came straight back into that. And for over a year, I was getting unhealthier and unhealthier, still not eating much processed foods, but anytime there was sugar, I went back into binge eating. And so I got up to 296 pounds. So all that goodness I did was gone. And so and Candida, for anybody who's had it, I had a severe overgrowth. It got worse. And I kept trying to be paleo, and I couldn't go keto because I'm allergic to nuts. And I couldn't even have a tablespoon of dairy. My leaky gut was so bad at that point. I couldn't even handle a tablespoon of butter. I was just, leaky gut gives you holes in your intestines and then toxins. It was just really bad. And so I tried one of those, I'm going to go carnivore 1 week, but when I'm traveling, I'm not going to be carnivore. And that's when I met Emily and some of the others, because I joined the platform. So November and December of 2019, I decided, I'll just keep going back and forth, because I traveled a lot for my work.
All over the world.
Yes, all over the world. Yep. And so I come back from one of the trips in December, and was like, it's Christmas, so I'll start carnivore. So January 3rd of 2020, I started carnivore solid. I went cold turkey. A lot of people can't do that. But I already had done the keto flu November and December. I'm like, I'm doing it once more. And that's it. By the way, the keto flu, you can have it multiple times if you add the sugar back in. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I've done that.
Yep. I'm like, why did I do this? I'm just starting all over. So January 3rd. And at that point in time, I still had a couple trips before we were shut down for COVID. I went to France, I went to all of this, and I stayed carnivore. In the first month of being carnivore, truly, I was able to do it traveling. But I got to tell you, the weight at that point, the 296, didn't matter to me, honestly, because it was really the brain fog. That was my problem. That I work on a technology field. I'm in cybersecurity. I wanted to do. My work was suffering, because not only did I need the naps, I couldn't concentrate and think. So I'd be on meetings and I'd be like, just really, I just couldn't maintain and understand what people were saying. It had gotten that bad, all because of carbs. It was terrible. And I've heard other people who've taken medicine for depression, and it's like, you feel like you're in a fog, but until that fog is lifted, you really never realize what it was like. And when by the 5th week, all of my brain fog was gone. I had gotten over the carnivore flu. The other miracle that I really think was my carb addiction, and you were talking about this just earlier, I wasn't fantasizing about sugar constantly. Where other people would think about, when is my next meal? I was always thinking, when is my next, binge? I would hide in the parking lot of the grocery store, and because I would have just bought a tub of vanilla frosting, and I would get a plastic knife, and I would just sit there and gorge on frosting to get my high. And I would hide it in my desk drawer so my husband would not see it. And that's what, I was always like, when can I sneak off to the store to do this? So when people talk, sugar addiction, it's not the same. I'm sorry, I did the same things as somebody who's a heroin addict or anything else. I was literally looking for when the next fix was going to come. And when I realized that I wasn't concentrating on that fix by February, I'm like, I don't care if I ever lose weight. I just didn't care. It's like the fact that I went from a 30% brain capacity to 100, and I had I always loved when Emily labeled it clarity, because for me, that was that, and the addiction ruling my life was two triggers that it didn't matter. So since then, I hit my goal weight. I hit 164. I was able to I did surgery to remove some of the extra skin on my arm, and I had a breast lift. All of that didn't matter. And I was able to walk on my feet again because I had such severe inflammation. It caused plantar fasciitis, which caused a heel spur. I'm able to walk without orthotics or anything. I can walk across concrete all the time without shoes. But doesn't matter, is that I know that my brain and this addiction to steer me back into what it is. And I didn't have depression. The reason I come to Emily's meetings is I met people for MeanRx, people that were like me, that were just so broken. I mean, bleeding out of all sorts of our body. But then, from the mental side, how it helps autism, how it helps behavioral. If something happened, like I dropped my water, I'd start screaming. I would trigger these. I was just so emotional that I was all over the place. So I don't want to ever be that person. I really feel like, I was telling somebody yesterday, I feel like I've reverse aged 20 years and I've missed so much of my life because I was living off of that addiction and just not knowing who I was because of food. And that's all it was. It was those chemical and toxins and everything in my life that I never want to experience again. So, everything's all healed. I donated my kidney to my husband back in May. The doctors were so, oh my gosh, you're carnivore. So it was pretty up in the air of whether or not they'd approve me. He said I had zero inflammation in my body. They were shocked. I was out of the hospital in less than 24 hours of donating that kidney, fastest that they ever released anybody. And that was with them not even realizing, Monica, that they had put I forgot to tell them, even though it's in my medical directive, not to use any insulin, any sugar IVs. I forgot to tell them that before I went into the hospital. And I realized that because I got my keto numbers, I'm like, why am I not in ketosis? And I looked at my IV bag and I'm like, shoot, it didn't trigger any carb addiction. So, that was just, just such a incredible feeling to know that. So I'm sorry, I'm freezing. I see it freezing some. So,
you're fine.
But yeah, it's just been amazing. Okay. And I'm never going to go back. I don't have any desire. I sat there in a bakery. I go to bakeries all the time with, everybody's has that. Nothing, never. I love the smell of fresh baked cookies. I'm never going to eat one. Never. It's just not going to happen. And that's because I have true freedom. And I never want to be that. By the way, I've had to take, just to even for them to allow me to donate, I had to get on cholesterol reducing medicine. My body fully rejected statins because it caused brain fog and made me start throwing up and all sorts of stuff. So they finally found a different one, just a shot that I had to take to allow it. But you don't realize until you truly are free of all those toxins, what even just something like, a safe medicine that everybody takes can how your body reacts to it. And we see all the time people able to drop all of these other things, but when you add them back, it's such a big difference. So, they wanted to give me painkillers or this or that. I can tolerate a little bit of I definitely take ibuprofen for certain things. But I didn't take any strong painkillers at all. Your body, when the inflammation's not there and when your mind's clear, I think that we're also able to, the stress is less. When you're stressing your body with food and all of that, it stresses your mind, it stresses your body. We're able to handle things, I think, a bit differently too. So it's been wonderful. I know I went longer than I thought it was good.
No. I love it. I love it. I'm eating up every second of this. Oh my gosh. Because I remember the beginning. And so I wish I could like snapshot that for everyone.
Well, and if you look up Carnivore Cassie, you'll see my pictures on the before and after such. So
I've posted it a number of times, but go on Instagram. You're at Carnivore Cassie.
Yep.
And it's awesome. Thank you so much for sharing. And I wanted to add, Andia wrote in the chat, the DSM, which is like the Bible of any kind of like psychiatric diagnosis, might not have sugar use disorder, but you can look at the criteria and answer the questions related to anything you may think you are addicted to. If it interferes with daily life and function, it is a problem, and there is a solution. Oh, I scrolled off. Okay. A solution and hope, community, and finding a power greater than yourselves. And yes, we can feel again. And what I love is that it got to the point for you, Cassie, where you were just like, nothing else matters. I have freedom from this food addiction. And I got to tell you, I had a flashback when you were talking, because I would do that. I would go and I would get white icing. I would get a container, and I would go to the cafe at the grocery store, and I would get one of those little plastic spoons.
Yep.
And I would go to the car and I would eat it before I went home so that nobody knew that I ate it.
Yeah.
Wow. Thank you so much for sharing. I appreciate it. And so glad to have you here, and Ren. And Tom, you had something you wanted to add?
I was just thinking about when Cassie was talking. I have seen the pictures. Amazing. How well you're done. You are inspiring to a lot of people, for sure. You reminded me about the sugar addiction. My wife and I went to my favorite restaurant this morning called the Double T Diner in Annapolis, Maryland. I had myself a nice steak with 3 eggs over easy. And now that I've been doing this for 10 months, I can't help myself. Whenever I see people, or I just talk to them about my situation. But there was this lady that was to the left of me, and she probably weighs about 350 or 60 pounds, and she was just sucking down pancakes with syrup, and I was just like, oh my God, I wish I could just go over to her and just sit down with her. It's like she, my wife even says she's given up, and I'm like, it's not too late for her. I wanted to go with her so bad and just she's sitting at the table by herself. And I know she probably goes there every day because it's just like great restaurant. The prices are reasonable, and just the atmosphere. And I know she goes there probably almost every day and probably just eats those pancakes with syrup or whatever. And I just find myself wanting to tell people that I see that I know are suffering metabolically, and that I know the answer. I mean, it's not the answer, but you know what I mean. I know how to change their direction and get themselves going so great on you, Cassie. Love what you've done.
Having been that person, if anybody had come up to me, I mean, it's hard. I mean, Ren, all my whole family, sometimes I see, I think that it used to be it's gluten, but it's much more than that. For sure. You could be that way. I mean, I was one of those people in Walmart who couldn't walk through the store in there at that weight. And it's hard because the only thing that makes you feel good, the only thing that makes sort of life worth living is, I'm looking forward to that pancake or waffle or this or that. And it has to be that person's choice. A lot of people don't understand what it did. I never knew until I started even going paleo how much the chemicals and all the toxins and all the food we were eating was just destroying. And I do believe that that's what's attributing the higher rates of cancer and all of this. It's not just obesity. There's healthy people every day dying. And I know it's coming from a lot of the seed oils and everything that we're taking in.
No doubt about it. No doubt about it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And, I think about, Andia put in the chat, the stage of change someone is in is huge. We need to be ready. And, it's like if we were sitting at a restaurant and we looked over at the table next to us and the person is sitting there shooting up heroin, we would want to go and offer them, here's a hotline for a rehab place, or here's this, or here's that. And our society doesn't allow us to go over to that person with the same, crisis mode and go, I want to save your life, and they're not receptive. They don't see that they have a problem. They see that they're doing their best in that moment. They're doing what makes sense to them. And they're, addicted. And so it makes sense to them to get their hit, to get their sugar. And I got to tell you, I've wrestled with this thought. I don't know what would have gotten my attention when I was there. When I was in the throes of my addiction, if I was sitting there at that diner, Tom, and somebody came up to me and, I don't know, gave me a card, like what do they call those? A tract, like whenever you're an evangelist, like here's a website for, whatever. Or I probably would have been like, screw you. Like I probably wouldn't have received that. And so I think that's why community is so important, and to allow people, to come in and like I said, just be a fly on the wall and just hear us talk, and to just model for them and live out our lives, and just hope, that they hear us. I don't think we can evangelize, but that's why I record these meetings and put them up on YouTube, so that maybe somebody can see it. India says there is pain underneath. We want to numb. Yes. I had no other way to deal with my feelings and trauma. Absolutely. 100%. That was my drug of choice. That was my coping technique. And so if anybody would have said, okay, let's remove your coping technique, I'd have been like, screw you. Like, then everything is going to crumble. Everything is going to fall. Andia says, we want to offer support. Trying to force it confirms their resentment towards any help. Yeah. Cassie, go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that
when I first, there you go.
Okay. I just wanted to say that when I first started, the first thing that I did before, once Carnivore came up in the Google thing, is to look for success stories. And look for people to do it. And back then, I think they had just collected a bunch when they started MeetRx. And so much of that was up. I'm like, oh, I have that one. Oh, I have that one. Oh, I have. So us talking about the success stories when somebody's open to it is really important, and looking at the YouTube videos that you said, because everybody's going to have a different perspective. And, we call, as in the, just in the diet communities, NSVs, non-scale victories. And the non-scale victories, if you look at anybody, carnivore influencer or anything, those are so much more important than a kilogram and a pound. And I just heard one of the influencers was like, I'm not at my goal weight. And I know what that feels like when you're trying to reach your goal. She's like, I've been doing it for 3 years, but the difference of I mean, she talks about the non-scale victories all the time. That's what's important for us. It's so much more, and giving these success stories and even non-success stories, like, I struggled here, I struggled there. That's important. People would try, especially, remember, Emily, people were trying to compare, oh, I'm not losing as fast as Cassie. And I was very, very strict carnivore, but I was very sick. I couldn't even have anything other than salt. If I had pepper at that point in time, I ended up with a full-blown allergy attack, like I mentioned about butter and everything. So you can't compare yourself to other people. You take your journey differently. People can then go to a moderated life. I have to be a full abstainer, but having these recordings are very important to be able to. And Emily, I know that you still do raw fat. I tried it. I'm like, that's not me. I can't do that. But I'm not trying to be Emily. I'm doing it my own way, and that's all you can ever say. Is just you have to show that it's going to go, you're going to do your different path. And that's what I love about this. And nobody in the community, whether here or anywhere else, they're not saying, oh, you're doing it wrong. And that was one of the things. There's dirty carnivore, we've got some names for it. I added that coffee because I enjoy coffee, but then I go for periods of time without coffee. And some people say, oh, well, you're not fully carnivore because you have coffee. Well, so, I mean,
take my card.
This is how I do it. Right. Yeah, take my card.
I don't care, because my carnivore card doesn't give me food freedom. My experience gives me food freedom, and no one can take that away from me. I got to tell you, I was on a huge platform even after MeetRx, and the people behind the scenes met with me privately and told me that I wasn't carnivore enough. Told me I wasn't carnivore enough because I posted a picture of me having a matcha latte with no milk on social media. And they said, yeah, that's not the image that we want to portray. And I'm like, y'all are nuts. Like, you can miss me with that. I don't want to be any part of this, because if you're giving me that message, I've resolved bipolar disorder symptoms. I resolved MS symptoms. I've lost 120 pounds. And you're telling me I'm not good enough? What are you telling to these babies that are coming in, that are still trying to get their legs to stand on? You're telling them that they're not worthy, that they're not enough, that their transformation is not enough? No. I will step away. I will gladly step away. And I was almost grateful when they attacked me, because I was like, oh, I'm so thankful to see your true colors. Thank you for revealing your true colors to me. I'm going to go over here. I'm going to start my own meetings, because I want a community of love. I want a community of support, of nurturing, because that is where the transformation happens, not in the dogma, not in the judgment, not in the being critical. We need to celebrate every non-scale victory. And we need to allow ourselves to have a matcha latte when we want one. It's okay. It's absolutely okay. So, and to have coffee, I'm so grateful that you said that, Cassie, because we can get caught up in our minds in being perfect. And that's not the goal. Food freedom is not perfection. Food freedom is not wanting those things that used to control us. So thank you so much for sharing that, Cassie. We have 3 more minutes. Anything that anybody would like to add? Go, Amy. Go, Amy.
I have a clove of garlic in my ear right now.
Oh, Monica put that in the chat. She
did. And I missed it because I was driving and then I got kicked off. And so I lost what was in the chat. So we were messaging. I was like, what do I do? So she told me, you take the clove of garlic here. I'm going to show this for anyone who needs to know this, for ear pain. And it tickles. Oh, it tickles. Oh my gosh. Like it really tickles. So you take your little clove of garlic, and I cut the little end off right here, just a little bit of it. And I like twisted it in there so that it's like an earbud. So my little clove of garlic is sitting in my ear right now because it hurts. And so I was like, okay. I actually have garlic oil. It's got garlic and mullein and it's in olive oil and I've been using it, but it keeps running out. And so I can't lay on the couch all day. I mean, like I could, but I think creatures might die. It might be a bad thing. So when Monica said something about garlic, I was just like, what? She was like, just stick a clove in your ear. So I just wanted to let you all know I'm using plants as medicine here.
I love it. And if you don't know, Amy has a double ear infection as an adult. She's been on 9 days of antibiotics and still is not getting relief. And so that's why they had that conversation in the chat. And I think that is a perfect use for garlic and for plant medicine.
It tickles. It seriously, like it tickles. And she said that, yep, that's good. She said it'll get soft and that's when you replace it. So until I get my magic Polish plant, which I'm going to go down and get, it's like 3 hours south of me. A friend of mine's mother has a plant that she brought with her from Poland that has apparently cured like numerous severe ear infections. So I'm going to drive and go take a pot and go collect some of this plant. That's where I am, but now, so I can taste a little bit of garlic right now.
That's so funny. That's so funny.
No, that's my update real quick.
Thanks for sharing, Amy. And thank you guys so much. I love this community. I love what we offer to each other and to others who we will never even know their name. We are offering a place. We are offering safety. We are offering hope. So thank you guys for being on this mission with me. I love you all. I'll see you next Saturday. Bye.